Good afternoon everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. In today's webinar we will be talking on freight options from China to Europe. We will focus on the most commonly used, which is ocean, air and rail freight. Let's start with ocean freight, and I will be discussing what are advantages, disadvantages and also comparing it to the other options. If we look at the advantages of ocean freight, at this point in time it's a cost-effective solution. It's also, in terms of cargo, carriers are able to accept a more variety of goods compared to the other freight options. If we look at the disadvantages, you're still using boats, vessels, so in terms of speed you are more on the slow side. If we take an average from China to Europe, you are looking into like 30 to 40 days from port to port. What I do want to mention here is a special mention to tailwind shipping lines, because tailwind shipping lines will take away this disadvantage. If we look at the connection they have from the Far East into Europe, specifically Shenzhen to Koper, you are looking at 19 days. So 19 days, extremely fast. On top of that, with the data that Tailwind has on hand, we see 98% in schedule reliability, where with traditional carriers, they don't have the best track record when it comes to the reliability of their schedules. If we look at the second option, we're looking at air freight. Air freight compared to ocean is much faster. You're using airplanes, so we look from China into Europe, roughly 3 to 5 days. Looking at the goods that can be accepted, you're limited. You're using planes, so size and weight is very important, but also the kind of goods. If you have dangerous goods, chemicals and so on, there are limitations. Furthermore, if we then go to rail freight, rail, there you have your speed, so you have a solution that goes somewhere between ocean and air, about 18 days from China into Europe, but you don't have the same coverage compared to air or ocean. You're linked to this specific terminals in Europe that are used for trains. From there you have your intermodal solutions, but then you start adding to your transit time. In terms of costing, with rail, at the moment you are somewhere between ocean and air, where ocean is obviously more at the lower side at this time in the market, with air being quite expensive. Where does MOOV help in this story is that we try to provide a very seamless integration of these freight options, where we could choose, for example, for only ocean freight, but we try to find a way that best fits your supply chain, and that can be a combination of freight options. And what we see nowadays is we as MOOV are putting a lot of focus on the sustainable aspect of logistics. So also there, in terms of your needs, we can also look at what is the ecological perspective of each of those options, where we see air freight very polluting. If you look at ocean, less polluting, and rail is also on the less polluting side. And so there we can also help to provide the right solution. Lastly, where MOOV is different to others is that we provide a digital layer to your supply chain with our control tower. Our control tower will provide the traceability along your supply chain, where you will have real-time updates on where is my cargo, what is happening, if certain goods are, for example, stuck, if there is a potential delay, and so on. Everything centralized in one platform, where you can have data-driven decisions, because everyone, all your stakeholders, including your shippers, forwarder, yourself and other partners involved, are working through the same platform, so that gives great traceability. Everything is black and white, so no more gut feeling decision making. So we as MOOV try to help there to support your supply chain. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and thank you very much for joining us today on this webinar. I hope it was very insightful, and as mentioned, any questions, feel free to contact me. Have a nice day.